Hello and welcome to the FreeFormKnits YouTube channel. I'm Haxann Evers, a knitter and crocheter whose freeform ways of crafting have led to the world of design. All the places you can find me will be listed down below this video. Thank you so much for stopping by and crafting with me today. So in today's video, I thought it would be fun to show you what's in my notions pouch, or notions pouches, because I have 3 main notions pouches. So I love seeing other people's special notions that they like. I mean, obviously there are the things all crafters need, you know, the scissors and the yarn needles, but I like seeing other people's ways of organizing their notions, and love organizing mine even better, even though they don't always stay this organized. But I thought it would be fun to show you, and so I'm going to show you what's in these 3 notions pouches I have. So let's get into it. So here are my 3 main notion pouches laid out. I have several notion pouches because I have a lot of projects going at the same time, but these are the 3 big ones. I usually have 3 main projects I'm working on, so I like to have these 3 notions pouches set up. So if I have to just chuck something in a bag and go, then I have everything I need. So we'll start over here. Well, first we'll look at the containers themselves. So these 2 are fabric pouches I sewed myself, and then this one's just a Sterilite container. These 2, both at the clasps, they have these little beaded stitch markers that I made, and they actually also have a key for my interchangeable needle set. So I always need these more than I think I do, so I like to have them on hand if I need to switch out a needle size or anything. Just take the needles from one project to give it to another. I have that right on top so I can just quickly take it and screw it off without having to dig around in the pouch for it. And then I also have one over here attached to the zipper of this pouch. And then I do have one for this container as well. It's just sitting right here on the same type of lobster claw because I always lose them and I don't like that, so I have it on something bigger so it's easier for me to spot. Now the 2 notion pouches over here, this one is what I typically grab for my crochet projects, so I kind of have the notions in this pouch more set up for crochet projects. So like I have these types of stitch markers. I don't particularly care for these, but they are good for crochet. I find they slip out of my work because I shake my crochet fabric a lot while I'm working with it. But they're very good for marking stitches, or if I'm trying to count something on my crochet work, I can just stick that in there as I go. They're a little less fiddly than the clipping markers. And I have lots of clipping markers in here. I have the bigger ones for crochet. They're just more sturdy than like the safety pin type clipping markers. So I have that. I also have a row counter, this little one where you have to turn the sides. I don't think I can do it with one hand, but you just turn the sides to click it, and you can actually thread some. Actually, you're supposed to be able to stick them on knitting needles, but I have it in my crochet pouch, and I could actually stick some thread through here. I've been meaning to do that so I don't lose it because it's very little, but I don't use it too often. And then I do have some needle stoppers in here just in case, and some scrap yarn, a tape measure, and then these are my favorite ways to have yarn needles, at least for the bigger sizes. These little clover needles, you buy them in little capsules like this, and they come usually with 2 yarn needles. And I love these yarn needles because their tip is bent, and I used to have just straight metal ones and used to think, why would I care if the tip was bent? This bent tip is the best. It's the best. That's all I can say. It really does make weaving in ends so much easier. Sometimes I'll only have, I arranged my notion pouches in such a way because sometimes I end up with only the straight tipped metal needles, yarn needles, and I miss my golden ones, so I got more and put them in separate notion pouches so I would always have them. And then this is a pair of snips. I really like this type of snips. They're a little bit thicker and nicer than some of the other ones I've had, and I love that I can cap it because I am paranoid about my scissors coming to life and cutting my projects. Can I close this with one hand? I put it on backwards. I'll fix that later. but that's this Notion pouch. This is what I usually grab for my crochet projects, like an amigurumi toy, a sweater, something like that. I just find it easier to have the usually these clipping markers on hand for when I'm crocheting. And then this other Notion pouch is what I typically grab for when I am knitting big projects, mostly sweaters. I like to have this one on hand because I have my row counter. This is I believe it's clover, right? Yes, clover counter. It's my favorite. You just click it. It's super simple. I've put it on yarn. I used to be able to fit it around my neck. Oh, did I? Oh, I thought it was knotted, but it's not knotted. I can fit it around my neck. So if I'm really struggling to keep track of rows, I can just click it without having to put my project down. It's super handy. It also locks, which I love because, like I said, I'm afraid my notions are going to come to life and change themselves apparently. So I love that. And I also have a tape measure here. I have snips in this bag. These aren't my favorite snips. They get the job done, but I do prefer the bigger plastic ones. But I do have these in here. They do what they need to do. And then same yarn needles, and then lots of more needle stoppers, because if I'm making a sweater and I want to try it on, or maybe I need to put the body on hold so I can do the sleeves, anything like that. So I have 2 sets of these in here just in case, and then lots of stitch markers. I have one of the bigger ones here, and then these little ones I prefer to use with knitting. They're just easier to slip onto a knit stitch than put it onto a crochet stitch. And these big stitch markers, they're also clover. I got a bunch of these big ones from Hobby Lobby, and then even more of these little like curvy ones from Hobby Lobby, but they're all clover. And I really love them. And I have this nicer stitch marker. This is great for marking the beginning of my rounds. This is a Knit Pick stitch marker. It's one of their enamel type stitch markers, progress keepers. And they just come on these, like I said, these little safety pins, but it's got a nice stitch marker on it, so I can, if I have to mark the beginning of my round or something, it's perfect. And then I also have some needle stoppers here, just in case. I usually forget to put these on my project, but they are very handy actually when you actually remember to use them. And then I do have this. This is to help thread your yarn needle. I really don't need it, but I do like to. I think it's a pretty notion to have, so I just throw it in the bag because it's pretty. I don't really need it. It would be handy for the smaller sizes, but I think the point is too big to fit through the tinier yarn needles, so it's not something I use, but it is pretty. So that's my crochet notions pouch, my knit sweater notions pouch, and then I have this one. This is one I recently put together. I have a knitting project bag, one that I store all my current projects I'm working on in, and I like to have just one thing. If I'm working on something, I need to grab a notion, it's easy just to pop this open, see everything in here, and grab what I need and get back to crafting. So in this notions pouch, I have an actual pair of scissors because I didn't have any more snips, and also you need real scissors if you're like making pom-poms or fringe, whatever. So this is nice sharp pair of scissors exclusively for yarn, because if you use your yarn scissors for paper or anything other than yarn, they will get dulled. They will ruin their ability to just cut yarn. So your scissors need to be selective about what they cut. More yarn needles, and this one actually has my old metal straight yarn needles in it. Though I don't use it, it is in here for company. And then lots more clipping markers, just so I can grab them, and a whole lot of ring markers. I have been using mostly just the safety pin type markers, but mostly because those are easier to grab, and I seem to have put all of them in one thing, but they are here if I need them. And more safety pins, another tape measure, more needle stoppers, or more point protectors, and then more needle stoppers, and then a nice big ball of sock yarn for putting stitches on hold or anything like that. Yep, and that's everything in that notions pouch. So that's all three of my main notions pouch. Usually they're not as neat as they look now because when I'm working on a project I will stuff the yarn scraps in the notions pouch I'm using. Like for instance over here, I just pulled these out of one of them because when I'm working on a project I don't feel like getting up and throwing the yarn scraps away, so I will just toss them in the bag until I eventually empty it out and, oh look, here's one right here. Throw it away or put it aside for stuffing. But that's everything in my notions pouch, and I highly recommend putting your notions in one spot or several spots like this so you always have it on hand and it doesn't take away from your crafting time. And that concludes everything in my notions pouches. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any other future videos. And comment down below what is one notion in your notions pouch that you cannot live without, that you just need in your notions pouch at all times. Comment down below what that is, and because I would love to hear it, and maybe I need it in my notions pouch too. So thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting!